fucked up if you can't be right here. I do the same, think I told you that I never would. Well, I'll be fucked up if you can't be right here. I do the same, think I told you that I never would.
What's up guys, I'm Maroc. Welcome back to my channel. Today we have a tutorial and a template that you can download in the description below. For Stay, this is my cover of Kid Laroi's new song, and this is the exact project file I used. This template includes the mix, the raw vocals, background vocals, doubles, the track, everything. So you can save this as a template and use it in your own projects. So let's dive into a little bit how we did this. On our vocal here, we have a fruity limiter, and this is our noise gate. This is what we use normally on all our vocals. And you can see if we solo this,
I get drunk, wake up, I'm wasted.
Any noise below this threshold is gonna cut. So whenever there's noise happening or nothing going on, it's gonna cut. And you can raise this up and you can see the threshold will be raised, but we keep it really low and that cuts any room noise out. So this is all we do before we go into auto tune. We've got it set to the key, we've got 5 retune speed and flex tune all the way on. That gives it a more Melodyne style feel. Then we have our humanize and vibrato a little bit. For the Kid Laroi type vibrato, what you can do to fake it is you can say sine wave vibrato, change the onset delay down to like 200, and then also play with the rate and variation. That will give you your kind of like the vibrato that the Kid Laroi has. So that's what we do before we go into our EQ. This is FabFilter Pro Q3, and we're gonna go ahead and turn off the mix and everything else above it so you can see what this EQ sounds like. So here's without the EQ.
I get drunk, wake up, I'm wasted still.
And then with.
I get drunk, wake up, I'm wasted still.
Okay, cutting a lot of the low end, and then also a spike here at about 5.7K. So that's what we're doing before we go into our first compressor. It's pretty wild and all over the place. You can see our vocals are not too bad in terms of the waveform here, but there are definitely some spikes and we need to obviously fix all these with compression. So what we're gonna do for compressors is use the Pulchild EQ-P1A. We're going to use the R compressor, CLA 76, a 2A, an R compressor, and then some parallel compression. So we're really compressing these vocals, but we're going to dive into what we're doing here. So we've got our R compressor, which is at 1.3. Got our threshold down, got the attack, not too bad, but the release pretty quick, and we're also bumping the gain just a little bit. That's going to give us some compression on kind of the main elements, but nothing too crazy. If it's at 1.3, it's not going to do anything insane. Just leveling it out before we go to the others. Here you can see the CLA 2A is going to do just a little bit. Here you can hear without compression.
Find nobody else as good as you. Need you to stay, need you to stay.
And this is with our compression.
Find nobody else as good as you. Need you to stay, need you to stay.
Okay, so getting that tight feel. We also have a de-esser in here, which is obviously just taking off those harsh frequencies of S's and some P's and whatnot. So after we could do compression, we're going to hop into one more Pro Q3. This is doing just some kind of things that I heard needed to be changed. Just a little bit of EQ, nothing crazy, -2 decibels. Taking the low end, a little bit low mids, and then obviously the high is really harsh. This was recorded on the Slate ML1, and it's imitating the C800, the Sony C800, so it's definitely a bright mic, so we need to make sure we take off the high end there. We have another de-esser here. You can hear what this is doing.
Realize the time that I wasted.
Nothing crazy, but it is going to pop down a little bit on those harsh frequencies. That's what we do before we hop into our saturation. This is FabFilter Saturn. It's one of my favorite saturators for vocals, and it really gives it that like full feel, especially for pop vocals like this. So what we have is a little bit of tone. This is kind of doing a little bit of EQ. See, nothing crazy at all. A teeny bit of adjustments. But we have it set to the default setting, and our drive is at 36%. So let's hear what this is doing, and I'll bump the drive up here. This is on.
Realize the time that I wasted here. I feel like you can't feel the way I feel.
Okay, this is really important in the Kid Laroi's vocals because they're very saturated and they're very raspy kind of. So with 36 of Saturn, it's definitely adding that kind of fuller sound and getting it more sounding like the Kid Laroi. Last thing we have is an RVox to level it out. You see without.
Realize the time that I wasted here. I feel.
And then with.
Realize the time that I wasted here. I feel like you can't feel.
Okay, so you see the level kind of coming down, and it's not doing too much. But what you can do is really when you're mixing, you can hear these elements as you tune your voice in your ears. So this is getting it set to some reverbs, some delays, and also some parallel compression. So all we do is we have our Vox track going into Vox 2. and Vox 2 is going into our master, and then it's also being sent into parallel and all the other things I talked about. So parallel compression is a brick wall CLA 76, which is just a compressor going all the way, and it's adding kind of that full sound, and we're mixing that in, and it also gives loudness to the vocal. Our delays are just simple edge delays, and reverb, you use whatever you want. Another element that's cool is in the chorus of Stay, they have kind of a vocoder type effect. So to get that, I use two little altar boys. So you can see what we have here in our automation is we have our insert 26 and 27 set to ramp up in the chorus here. These two little altar boys are set. This one is -3 format, and the other one is +3 format. So this is going to give you like a vocoder effect. You can also use Ovox by Waves, which is free, but here is what that sounds like, and we'll just listen to the vocals.
Think I told you that I never would. Told you I changed even when I knew I never could. No, that
Okay, so that's giving us that kind of vocoder effect, which I kind of heard in the song, or at least the leak, and it's kind of giving a little bit more space. You can pan these left or right if you want. I found it was a little tighter to keep them centered, but that's a vocoder effect, so that's what these are in case you're wondering. There's some sick ad-lib and other mixing chains in here that you can use. We've got a great double and ad-lib mix. You can check all that out in the preset. Let's listen to real quick what our doubles are doing on the last chorus. So if I turn these on.
think I told you that I never would. Nobody else as good as you.
Okay, those are our ad-libs, the doubles actually, and they're getting mixed in.
Nobody else as good as you. Nobody else as good as you. Need you.
And those are kind of adding that higher register to the chorus. Last thing we have is some other vocals here for the last and part of the chorus.
Need you to stay. I do this.
Okay, we have several of them going actually, and if we turn off the vocals and the beat, this is what it sounds like. Okay, so we have two of them, and they're both getting auto-tuned and sent into their mixes. And then we also have a special ad-lib right here. Okay, so that's kind of giving us this sick background mix. Obviously this whole mix is in the preset you can get if you want, but the last thing we're going to cover is what we did for automation. So some of these things in here needed extra punch. So on the chorus here, and especially this drop, we wanted a lot of reverb. So we're going to bump up that reverb. You can see if we bump it up all the way, this is what it sounds like.
If you can't be right here.
What we're going to do is cut this right at the breakdown. So listen to the reverb right here.
Well, I'll be fucked up if you can't be right here. I do.
And then it goes back to normal. So all you have to do for that is, since it's a send for reverb, you can right click and say create automation clip, and it's going to bring up this element here, and it's just going to be a straight line, and you can right click, and this is going to control the volume or the gain of your send. So all I did was brought it down almost all the way right when he has that little breakdown at the end, and it gave that super sick effect. Mastering is using our free mastering template that you can get on my store as well. Here's what the master is doing to the whole mix. So I'll turn this off.
Be fucked up if you can't be right here. I do the same. Think I told you that I never.
And here's master.
Be fucked up if you can't be right here. I do the same. Think I told you that I never would. Told you I changed even when I knew I never could. No.
So that's a little look inside my mix of Stay by the Kid Laroi. Hope you guys liked it. Again, if you want to check this out, you can head over to my website. Link is in the description, and cop this preset to check it out. Again, it comes with all my raw vocals and the doubles and the beat. You can practice or record your own exactly with my own mix. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this and you found it helpful. If you guys have any questions or suggestions for tutorials, let me know in the comments. And until then, I'll see you guys.